All right, this is the video lesson for your inquiry lab on dividing whole numbers by fractions. So this is going to show you what actually happens when we divide fractions. So first, let's start off with the problem on top, and we're going to circle what we know and underline what we need to find out. It says, Juan is building a set for the school musical. He has a 3-foot board that he needs to equally divide into 1/2 foot pieces. How many pieces will he have after he cuts the board? That's what we need to find out. Now, I know a lot of you guys can do this mental math. You could probably figure out if he has a 3-foot board, he's equally cutting it into 1/2 foot pieces. I bet you know how many pieces he'll have. But we want to show you how to do a bar diagram to solve this. So going down to the investigation, I have steps 2 and 3 covered up because I just want you to watch. You could do this with me or you could just watch. It says, draw a model that represents the length of the board. Draw lines to separate the board into thirds. Each third represents 1 foot. So remember, this board is a 3-foot board. The whole thing is 3 feet. So I'm splitting it into thirds because each third is a foot. There's 1 foot, 1 foot, and 1 foot. All right, now remember, what else we know is Juan needs to equally divide it into 1/2 foot pieces. So going down to my board, I have each 3 feet, so I'm going to split those into 1/2 foot pieces. So I'm going to just use a real thin line to divide them in half. So each piece that I'm shading here, let me get my shader on. This is a 1/2 foot. Here's another 1/2 foot piece. Here's another. So what I ended up doing was I took a 3-foot board and I divided it into 1/2 foot pieces. And if I count my pieces, there are 6 pieces. Okay, now on to the next page. In this investigation, it says find 4 divided by 2/3. So remember, we're focusing on the bar diagram today. So I'm going to start by drawing a board or a bar. Yeah, it's kind of messy. Oh well, it will work. That's my 4-foot board. So I'm going to split it into 4 pieces. So that's my 4. Now I'm dividing it into 2/3 pieces. So I'll switch to red for this. So if I split each board into thirds, the answer will be how many pieces I have. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That means 4 split into 2/3 pieces, or 4 divided by 2/3 is 12. And I'll show you one more before we try some. So in this next one it says find 2 divided by 3/4. All right, now this one might be a little tricky. So first off, I'm going to start with my bar, and I'm going to split it into 2. That represents my 2 holes. Now I'm dividing it into 3/4. So first off, I'm going to split it into each one into fourths. Now the question is, how many 3/4 can I get out of it? So let me start by shading. Oops, that's not shader. Hold on. Get the shader on. All right. So here's 3/4. Here's another 3/4. Now for this last part, I don't have a full group of 3/4. So first off, this red one, now I want the pen. There's one group of 3/4. Here is another group of 3/4. And what's left is not 2/4, but you see the 2 pieces here? 1, 2. 2/3 of a full piece. Because look at a full piece here. The full piece is divided into thirds. See the 1, 2, 3? And if we only have 2 of those, that would be 2/3. So 2 divided into 3/4 is 2 holes. Remember where those 2 holes came from. Here's 1 hole, here's a second hole, and 2/3 of another hole. See this 2 here? 1, 2. Out of thirds because each whole is thirds. So that's my answer for that one. 2 divided by 3/4 is 2 2/3. All right, you try some on the next page. We're going to start you off with, let's say, the first 4 easy ones. So here's what I want you to do. Sorry, coming over my cold. I want you to start by doing 1. We're going to make sure we're on the right page. We'll do this one with me because then you're going to work on 2, 3, and 4. So in 1, you have 3 holes. Now in this one, they already have it split into 3 holes. In the next one, where you start with 2, you're going to have to split it so you have 2 holes. And you're dividing it into 1/3 pieces. So we're going to divide it into thirds. Each hole gets split into thirds. And the answer is, how many 1/3 pieces do you have? And if you count them, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 pieces. All right, so now here is your job. Your job is to try 2, 3, and 4. Now when you're done with them, you can pause the video while you do them, and when you're done, restart the video to see if you were right. If you do get stuck on any, well, you could always start the video and do it with me, but you'll learn more if you try it and then watch the video. All right, pause, do those 3 problems. Go. All right, let's see how you did in 2. First off, let's start with my 2 holes. That means I need to split this bar into 2 whole pieces. Next, each of these 2 holes I have to split into fourths. All right, next, the answer is going to be, how many of those fourths do you have? So if I count them up, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My answer is 8. I have 8 of those pieces. All right, now in 3, I have to start with 6 holes. So I'm going to split the bar into 6 equal pieces. Okay, see my pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have to figure out how many 2/3 there are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split each piece into thirds. So I'll put it on real skinny lines to try to make it stand out a little better. Okay, there's 3 pieces there, 3 pieces there. All right, now the question is, how many 2/3 can I get out of 6 holes? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to circle in red each 2/3. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means if I have 6 and I split it into 2/3, I can get 9 2/3 out of 6 holes. All right. And in number 4, we have 4 divided into halves. So if I have 4 holes, let me start with that. There are my 4 holes. And I'm going to figure out how many halves I can get out of there. So let me cut each hole in half. And now I'm going to circle all of the halves. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in other words, if I have 4 holes split into halves, I get 8 halves out of that. All right, so now here's your next job. You're going to try the next 4 on your own. So pause the video, try 5, 6, 7, and 8. Again, if you're stuck, watch the video and do it with me. But if you can try all 4 and then watch the video to see if you're right, that will be even better. Okay, pause the video. Go. All right, let's see how you did. So in number 5, I have 3 holes. First, let me get those holes ready. And each hole is split into fourths. So let me get on skinny line here. So I'm going to split each one into fourths. And the question is, if I do 3 divided into 3/4, is how many 3/4 can I get out of it? So I'm going to circle every 3/4, or every 3 of those little pieces. There's 2, 3, 4. So I can get 4 groups of 3/4 out of 3 holes. 3 divided into 3/4 is 4. Okay, how about 6? 4 divided by 3/4. So let me start with my 4 holes. In each hole, I'm going to split into 4ths. And I'm now going to circle every 3/4. So here is 1 3/4. Here is 2. Here is 3. Here is 4. Here is 5. So I get 5 hole groups, and then there's one little piece left. And remember, the holes, take a look at one of the holes, which I'll shade in here. Each hole is divided into thirds. So one of those little pieces would be 1/3 of a whole piece. So I have 5 and 1/3 of a whole piece left over. That's what 4 divided by 3/4 is. All right, how about 5? Let me start with my 5 holes. Each hole is split into thirds. So let me split them into thirds. Now the question is, how many 2/3 can I get out of 5? So I'm going to circle all of my 2/3. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's one little piece left, and it's going to be halves, 1/2. Because look at one of the whole pieces. One of the whole pieces looks like this. And if I have one of those, it's 1/2 of a whole. So that's 7.5. All right, now it's time for 8. 2 divided by 4/5. So first off, let me split it into 2 holes. And each hole gets split into 5ths. So let me do that here. All right, now I'm going to circle all my groups of 4/5. So let me switch to red. Here is one group of 4/5. Here's 2 groups of 4/5. So I get 2 whole groups, and there's 2 little pieces left. And now look at a hole. See how if I just take a hole, it's split into 4ths? So 2/4 of a whole piece. Now maybe you even saw that that reduces to 2 1/2, because 2/4 is a half. All right, so hopefully this inquiry lab will help you see what dividing by a whole number by a fraction looks like. So when we do the lesson tomorrow and we're just doing the math, you'll be like, okay, I see it a little bit better. As always, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, make sure you ask me. Later.